Peace, y'all. She got DJ Klyph. Welcome to another episode of the Klyph Notes podcast. Definitely appreciate y'all checking it out. However you check out your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of the above. Yo, this one's really cool. Had an opportunity to have my folk from A Beat Happening back in, talking about their 2-year anniversary celebration and the first of the Forward Frequency Festivals. It's a producer showcase and a really special event to celebrate doing this thing for as long as they have. The lineup is crazy. It's going down June the 22nd and the 23rd. The fellas talked all about it and talked about the label too. So check this one out, man. It's the latest episode of the Klyph Notes podcast featuring folks from A Beat Happening, my guy Luvjonez and Sembla, Forward Frequency. Check it out. Support for the Klyph Notes podcast comes from Acapella Apparel, an idea born from a love of hip-hop, funk, and soul music and its surrounding cultures. With fashion being a huge visual part of the cultures, they've created expressive images to pay homage, invoke nostalgia, and showcase the elements that make up the lifestyle and cultures of these genres. Acapella, apparel for the music lifestyle. For more information, check out acapella.com. That's AKEPELE.com. Yeah, so we're just gonna jump right in like we always do. Once again, it's always cool to have an opportunity to build with folk and in a place now where I get to invite people back for a second time, and it's cool to have these cats in here just because, first of all, just because they're good dudes, but it's an opportunity to celebrate something that I think is a pretty big thing, man. So before I get too far into it, man, y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves.
This is Luvjonez from A Beat Happening.
This is Sembla from A Beat Happening.
What's up, fellas?
Out here promoting, trying to do our thing.
Hey, first of all, thank you, DJ Klyph. Always supporting, always being strategic and getting us on when we need to promote some stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure, bro. My pleasure. Definitely happy to do it. Man, a few things to talk about. You know, the last time that we were in the chat that I had an opportunity to rock with y'all, you made a big announcement, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the announcement of the record label.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how long it's been since y'all was out.
Dang.
on
that might not even have been in the plans last time we were here.
It wasn't, because it was kind of a last minute thing that y'all just let out. But A Beat Happening Records, man, that's a real situation now. Got a couple of releases that you guys have done already.
Yeah, and working on the next few.
Yeah, we got local beat makers because, you know, we are trying to support the scene. So we got our first release was with Avi Sinclair, you know, local beat maker. His EP was called Float, and we sold it out. You know, we put out some tapes. It's still available digital, so please go to beathappening.bandcamp.com. Mm-hmm. And then what's the other release, Jonas?
Yeah, and then our second release was Vibra, Delirium. Mm-hmm. Another cassette release. We limited edition copies, and that sold out too. Yeah, and now we're working on our third release. We just got the artwork for it, so we're trying to work that out.
Yeah, and this one's a little different. It's with East Portland 19-year-old named Dead Brains, Aaron.
Yeah.
So he's part of this crew called Tourist. Yeah, he's a Latinx kid, and it's a lot different than what we've released. You know, we've released 2 beat tapes, and this kid, Dead Brains, he also puts out beats, and he's done stuff with.
Yeah, he's produced for like Karma Rivera, Mike Capes, I believe. Yeah, and it's just like his crew and people all over town. So, yeah, we were excited, and we were just kind of gave him the no rules. Like we just kind of say like submit. We give him more like a time frame, like 30 minutes or less, music, so it'll fit on cassette, and then they can send whatever they are working on.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what to expect, and it's kind of it's a departure from just straight up beats. Like he's rapping on it. He's got his friends rapping on it.
Yeah, I'm super hyped about it. It's like super different, and I feel like our audience is gonna be surprised, and some of our audience is gonna be like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
But you know, like, I think it's it comes in line with what we're trying to do. Is like we're not just representing this piece, you know. We're trying to be open to other people and other types of sounds, you know, as long as it's like Portland, and we believe in it. So
that's what's
yeah.
up. It was crazy because when I saw that Dead Brains was going to be the third release, I don't know Dead Brains, but I know of him because I've had a number of artists as guests on Welcome to the Neighborhood. And they played me stuff. I'm like, yo, that's so dope. Yeah, Dead Brains produced it. So I know his name.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that now he's connected with you folk and is going to release a whole project.
Yeah, he was he played the very first A Beat Happening that we ever did.
Yeah.
You know, and he stays out in East Portland, so like we don't get to see him as much, but a lot of his crew stays in touch, you know, with Instagram and social media stuff. So it was definitely on our radar to kind of reach beyond kind of like the downtown folks that show up to everything and connect with people from different parts of Portland too. So
yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So that's going to be dropping pretty soon. So now, like I said, you know, big news every time y'all come through, because now we have an opportunity to announce the as a part of the 2-year celebration of A Beat Happening. So big ups to y'all for that, man. 2 years, that's definitely huge, man. You guys have now created a festival, which is dope, man. I mean, it's just, you know, in such a short time, you continue to grow this movement, this Beat Happening movement. And so now you have a festival, and the name of the festival is Forward Frequency.
Yep.
Let folk know what that's about, man.
I mean, honestly, we wanted to do something big for the 2-year celebration, and create a space that wasn't just for our beat makers, but like people whose work we respect in town that doesn't really make sense with the venue that we have, but we've just connected with in the community, friends.
For example, like Fontaine, like, you know, every time I see that cat, I'm just like, this guy is so good. Like, why, you know, just, I don't know. It was like me and him put down our dream lineup, you know, who we want to see. And like, for example, Fontaine was like at the top of that list. And I was super excited when he said, I'll do it, you know? So, yeah.
And we were I mean, and part of it is like one of the invitations that we put out that was for Tim, who owns Future Shock, is also like a funk DJ, and he goes all these different cities. He's crazy quiet and humble about it. But we wanted to like offer him a space to perform, because we've been like kind of joking with him since we started to like let him play beats or let him DJ, which he did once, but like, we want to shine a light on him as a thank you for letting us do essentially all this work for 2 years without ever charging us anything. So, but yeah, and then Amenta, who's played with us, but like is certainly deserving of a bigger stage.
Yeah, and then like Northern Draw, our homie Kip, who has done Thirsty City for what, his anniversary's coming up, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So he's a big, you know, just like I don't know what to call it, like a lifer almost. Like he's been doing this event and his thing for a while. Yeah. And it's also like kind of like a respect to him too, you know, because he, ever since we showed up, he's been so supportive, you know. He's always like, yeah, you guys should do that. You guys should do that, you know? Yeah. Like it's never felt, because what we do is so similar. I am not from Portland, and I am worried about stepping on people's toes. And, you know, I would talk to him, and he's always just like, no, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. So that's another thing where, like, the people we're inviting, you know, it's our friends and people we really respect. Yeah. So
I think, I don't know.
Well, I was just going to say, man, I mean, you bring that up, Sembla, and that's something I wanted to bring up just as a part of this conversation. You mentioned you're not from Portland. Luvjonez, you're not from Portland. But both of you guys have come to this city and really made it your own. But a part of making it your own, you've created space for Portland, which I think really needs to be commended. And I think that sometimes that gets overlooked. A lot of the conversation oftentimes comes in the form of the changing of the city and the negative things associated with that. But man, you guys have come and you have created this thing, and you've spoken to the fact that it needs to be, the requirement of being a part of a beat happening is you have to be inclusive. You have to be about Portland, representing a positive a positive vibe. And I mean, I think that you guys should be commended for doing that, because both of you guys are artists in your own right, and you could easily just come and do your own thing. So big ups to y'all, man, for what you've done for 2 years. You know what I mean? But anyway, go ahead. Who else is on the bill?
A bunch of people.
Okay, let's start with like day one, day two.
Yeah.
So day one, we got Everyday Mixtapes, who are DJs at X-Ray.
Shout out to X-Ray. Shout out to Everyday Mixtapes. For real.
Yeah, we got our homies Shane, Queasy, and See the King. They're gonna do a special like performance together. Usually they're producers in their own, but they're doing something together. We got Sir Nye. We got Jason Undefined. We got Vibra, who, again, we put out a tape of. We got the Tourist crew from East Portland. We got Amenta Abioto, and we got Brown Calculus. So that's Saturday, June 22nd. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then we got Fontaine, Omari Jazz, Northern Draw. Again, shout out to Kip at Thirsty City. Lisa Vasquez.
What's up, my girl, Lisa?
Yeah, she's taking off and she's gonna work with us one more time.
Right.
One more time.
Get it while you can, for real.
Avi Sinclair again, as part of A Beat Happening Records, and then Miss L, Kokio,
excellent MC Miss L.
Yeah, we got Kokio, and King Tim 33 1/3 from Future Shock. Yeah,
that's what's up, man. Just it's crazy when you run down that list of names and letting folk know this is a 2-day event. This is pretty special, man. The names that you guys have run down, the connections that you've made, and what you've pulled together. I mean, this is a showcase, man. Some serious talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for part of it for me was that like I noticed that like things like PDX Pop Now and things that like PBR Fest is a much bigger version, but like things where hip hop was part of the show, but it wasn't the focus of the show.
Right.
And so we were like, let's, as a thank you to all the performers who've played with us, but also to the community that we've kind of helped foster and be a part of. Let's just throw an all beats festival, like an all beat and hip hop festival. Right. So we were like, rather than submit to, the things that already existed, we were like, let's just try it and see. Because if we could finding a space was difficult. But we found one at New Expressive Works. They were really supportive of what we were doing because it's an all ages venue. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and just to point out, it is at this space and nobody knows this space if you're not familiar with New Expressive Works, because they usually do like dance performances, like more artsy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I will say, it's gonna be a very intimate space, and it's gonna be like a special chance to see some of these people in like a very, very intimate space. Yeah. I don't know how often, these performers perform at where you don't have a stage, and it's only like, it's not a huge space, right. So it's going to be, I think, a really special show.
That's what's up. Even more reasons to come and really be a part of this hip hop community. Man, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to this, though, because as you mentioned, Portland is known, especially this time of year, for a lot of events, festivals that some that have come and gone, some really big that have come and gone, and I've had an opportunity to be a part of conversations where folk talked about, man, I really wish that there was this, or I really wish that there was that. You guys have just come together and you've just done it. You've created it. And again, I think that a lot needs to be said for the fact that you guys saw a need and you're fulfilling this need and you're creating opportunities. You're creating this platform for local artists, man. And I hope that folk recognize the opportunities that they have, not only to participate but to support, because I think that this is something that could potentially change the scene as we go forward. For real.
So I do want to say that thank you again for being nice, and those words. But like, it is rough. It is tough. It is. We are. I don't like. Getting people's attention is hard, especially when you're just trying to create a culture.
Yeah.
We don't have a budget. We don't have an, team, It's just me and Jonas, and sometimes we get help, from people who just like us, but like yourself, So yeah, I just want to say that we're trying to build community, and it takes a community. So, if you love musicians and you love any type of artist, please support them. And I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about the people on this bill and the people around Portland hip hop, scene. So
absolutely, man. Let's talk a little bit more about the festival, because I don't know if it's. I remember you guys mentioning it to me sort of as we're kind of thinking about doing something like this. But what was the genesis? What was the idea of putting a festival together? Where'd that come from?
So for me, I'm not from Portland. I'm from Los Angeles area, and I was a punk rock kid. I was a skater kid, and I would see, I'd be in like the hardcore scene, and I would see people throw DIY fests and things like that. Small, but people would show up and people would have fun, and I just wanted to see something like that for me personally. Like, let's do something where there's no stage, where it's just like very curated, and yeah, and hopefully it's fun. I just want to do something fun, and partly too, I'm not good at taking risks. This is a big risk for us, I think, in terms of. So if we haven't mentioned, we are selling tickets. It's not free.
That's probably that's a good thing.
So,
yes.
So our regular shows at Future Shock are free, all ages. This is not free, because as part of supporting artists, we are trying to pay them. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of this money is going to go, that we're charging, is going to go to them and the venue. But shout out to New Expressive Works, because they charge us. They didn't charge us a lot, because they are also about community. So that partnership is really fortunate for us. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to see, similar to like PDX Pop Now. It's like, it's just a big party, and it's about supporting and celebrating people. Yeah, that's what it was for me, and also like taking a risk and seeing if the community will support,
Yeah. Especially with the record label, because they supported the releases and they sold out relatively quick. And so we were like, all right, if there's that kind of response to the output that these people are, because they're not household names by any means, but they were like, but people within the community are supporting it. So we're like, let's put not just them, but all of our, all the people whose work we respect in one place, and make a giant concert out of it.
Yeah.
Just as like a thank you to them, because we, like Derek said, 2 years of like shows that are free. We make no money. No one gets paid for anything.
Yeah.
And essentially people volunteering their time for 2 years. So as a thank you to that, we're gonna like ask them to perform and be able to provide payment as part of that, as a thank you. So we appreciate the work when they sacrifice their time with us. So I think it's a great way to like kind of give back and show appreciation like that, beyond just saying thank you.
Yeah. And I think that's huge, man. I think those of us that really have a heart for providing support, we utilize whatever avenues, whatever platforms that we have available to us, and oftentimes that support is just spreading the word the best way that we can,
right.
But to have the opportunity to do that extra little bit of putting a couple dollars in the artist's hands, because we know that doesn't come easy for a performer, I think is a real blessing, man. So I'm asking the community, anyone who hears this, make an effort if you can to attend. If you can't, how can people buy tickets?
The best way is probably to go to abeathappening.com. There'll be a link that says Forward Frequencies. Click on that, and then you'll see the list of people playing, and then it'll say purchase tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most direct route.
No doubt. Well, here's the cool thing, man. If you've been to a Beat Happening and have really appreciated what you've gotten there, or if you haven't and you just of these guys and you support their work, or if you're just hearing this interview and feel like this is something that you'd like to get behind, one of the things that I feel comfortable saying that these fellows will not hold against you. If you go and buy a ticket but you don't attend, they're not going to be mad. So that's a way that you can donate to the cause. Once again, just go to abeathappening.com and go through and read information about the event and purchase a ticket. Definitely want as many people that are able to come out. But if you can and you want to support in a tangible way, man, just buy a ticket and let's continue to support, because supporting events like this will help us continue to do events like this, and that's really going to go a long way in supporting the local scene. And that's really what it's about, man. It's about building the scene. So Forward Frequency Festival is going down on Saturday, June the 22nd through Sunday, June the 23rd at New Expressive Works. How much are tickets?
It's $25 a day or $40 covers both days.
I'm gonna tell you right now, man, that those lineups, like you'd pay $40 just for one of those days, man. So you're gonna get both of those. That's a real treat, man. So once again, I want to encourage people to jump on this opportunity to see some pretty amazing talent, homegrown talent, and support an event that's really about supporting the scene. Forward Frequency Fest, June the 22nd and the 23rd, right here in Portland, Oregon. Man, A Beat Happening is once again doing good things for the city, man. And you guys really need to be commended for that. You know?
I feel like it's 4 lattes, right? 4 lattes, you get in.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
exactly, man. It's that simple.
Yeah, sacrifice a week of Starbucks and you can go to this show.
You'll be good, man.
And can I mention too, like the price is also very intentional. Mm-hmm. Like we throw a free event because we just want people to show up and experience culture.
Yeah.
Like the price, is a way to get people in. Like we know that, I know for myself, I don't have a lot of money. I have to spread it out. And for me, it's like we set a price point that we think is fair for the performers, and for the people who want to show up, because I know how it is, in terms of money and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've definitely spent more than this for 1 or 2 acts, on a bill. Mm-hmm. So like you can see essentially 20 acts, or for the same price you would go see a show at the Doug Fir. So it's like, and you can support local hip hop and music makers. So I don't know. I'd go. I'll be there.
I'll think about it.
Right. And as I said earlier in the conversation, man, you look at these acts and this is some amazing talent, and kind of saying it lightheartedly, but the fact of the matter is, some of these individuals, like they're in a place in their careers right now. This may be the last time you'd have an opportunity to see them in an intimate setting. Yeah. And this is going to be that person who, one day if you want to see them, you will pay $40 to just see them. So, this is definitely a special opportunity to see folk where you can reach out and touch them and be in the same space with some pretty amazing talent.
Yeah.
Once again, it's the Forward Frequency Festival. It goes down Saturday, June the 22nd and the 23rd at New Expressive Works. So this is a part of the celebration of the 2-year anniversary of A Beat Happening. And we've talked about the event A Beat Happening and how it came together, but did you guys have any sense that you'd be celebrating 2 years of doing this, and that it would grow into what it's grown into?
I don't know that I envisioned the fest this kind of it doesn't even feel soon. It feels like it's been longer than 2 years. But I don't know that I would have expected the community to get built so quickly, or like for us to kind of see that type of community and get the support that we have in that 2 years. So I guess in that regard, I'm happy to see where it ended up. But we get so caught up in planning these things and meeting people and trying to find events and facilitate all this stuff that sometimes you don't realize how much time has passed until we were like, oh, we're coming up on 2 years, and I barely remember the first year of it. So no, it's great that this is a way to kind of cap that off and see what we can do next.
Right. I don't know if I asked you this before. I probably didn't ask you because we just kind of put it out there. But the idea of doing the label, was that something that you thought about from jump, or did that just sort of evolve as the event evolved?
It evolved, as the event. Like I said, I'm not a good risk taker, so I'm not gonna put all my eggs in one basket. So we saw the response, we made friends, and we did. Because one of the things that I was worried about, like, we're gonna run out of beat makers. Mm-hmm. There was like two ways it was gonna go. Like, we're gonna run out of beat makers, or they're gonna come out of the woodworks. Yeah. And so luckily, they came out of the woodworks. Yeah. And so and then we just we're lucky too. We're like, for example, Vibra. Like, we met him socially somewhere, and he casually mentioned that he makes beats. Yeah. And then we told him, "Oh, show up to our event. Like, you might like it." Yeah. And he showed up. He liked it. He kept coming back. And we finally bugged him. We hadn't heard his music yet. And we're like, dude, just play. Yeah. And so he showed up and played his very first show. And he rocked it. And it's like that. It's like seeing these very talented friends. Well, now they're friends. Like, and just going, like, I want people to hear this stuff. So it's that, as well, where like you hear all this stuff and you want to support. At least, for us, that's what it is. And one way for us to do that, besides the event, is like, let's put out their stuff and like show that they can. I think there's a difference between like seeing somebody live, like, that's an awesome experience. But then when you hear them, like, they've thought about what their music is gonna sound like. They put a lot of thought in their release, and then you put it in this package. It's like, it's special. It's different, Yeah. It's a different kind of archiving or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think too, just like from running these shows, we've met so many people that have just been making music without any kind of direction. Like, they might put stuff on SoundCloud, but it's all kind of like loosely, like, there's no end goal in mind. So like when we meet them and we feel like they have enough music that could fill an album, we kind of prod them and ask them questions, not trying to pressure anybody, but like, you find that a lot of these people just have music they've been sitting on, they've been making in their bedrooms or their studios, and don't do anything with it. So we're like, we wanted to kind of create a space that allows for like a central like archive, like Derek was saying, like, so that if you're curious about a beat happening or anything, whether you want to just see the videos of past performances, you go check out the site. And if you see an artist that you like, I mean, we're only 2 releases deep, but like that, you might be able to find more work by them by checking out those same resources. Right. So like giving a central location for people to find these artists that they might not even know exist, or they might have forgotten the name of, or something like that. So creating like an index for people to find that is really, I don't know. We saw worth in that, and I think.
If we had more time, I feel like we'd have put out 10.
Yeah, we could.
10 releases already, because we love so many people.
Yeah.
But it's just me and Jonas, and again, we don't have a budget, and we don't have a lot of time. But I mean, we think about it a lot. Like, I want to put out so many people, but we have to be strategic.
Oh yeah.
So,
and then some people kind of fold to the pressure of being asked that, because they're like, oh, I don't have artwork, I never titled anything. Like, it's just like gathering those things can sometimes takes so long that it's like, that can delay us, and we're not on any kind of deadline schedule, but it's also, you can see like what may have prevented them from ever putting stuff out too. So it's just like, we're there to like support them, and if we end up with like 100 releases deep one day, that'd be amazing. Especially if we can keep supporting local folks.
That's what's up, man. In 2 years, what's the thing that surprised you the most about a beat happening, about the whole process?
I mean, it's definitely like how many people pay attention to it, whether they're there or not. 'Cause like I will pop up at shows, and I won't necessarily introduce myself to everybody, but I'll see people and I'm like, all right, I need to remember that I want to try to get them on. And I'll contact people out of the blue, and they're familiar with what we do, even if we've never met.
Yeah.
and I know we told this story once before, but like Tim at Future Shock told us that they had some tourists from Japan that came in and recognized the mural behind the counter as being from Beat Happening, and he couldn't speak English that well, but he was like, a Beat Happening, like he recognized the mural, and I was like, that's crazy that he even knows what that is. So you know that video archive might be the access for all these people that can't attend the show or have never been there in person. So I think watching it kind of grow organically has been really impressive to me, because sometimes I feel like I have to explain what it is all the time, and some people know exactly what it is. They've just never been there. So
the have you gotten feedback as to this event being something that artists have been craving, that it's something that was lacking in the city?
I mean, from some performers, at least with our crowd, they seem to show up because they, you know, whether they rolled up with one of their friends or they just wanted to freestyle and never heard, you know, wanted to rap over beats that they've never heard before. It does seem like, like people show up because they're curious, you know. So
I think for me, one of the things I hear is, people when they show up, they don't know what to expect. And then it happens and they're like, oh man, I don't think they even know why. They're like, wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
And I think, again, for me as somebody who loves music and grew up in a certain scene, you know, I grew up in a scene where there was no barrier. You know, I didn't like going to shows where there was a huge stage and it was so just impersonal. So I think even when people show up, they don't know what's happening. They're like, this is cool. I don't know why, but I had such a good time.
Yeah.
You know, and we do, one of the things that's been happening is that freestylers have been showing up.
That's so dope.
Yeah, and so we do focus on the beat makers because, you know, that's what we're about. But, you know, when the beat maker is cool with people freestyling, you know, that's fun. Like, there's no barrier. Again, grab the mic, you know.
Yeah.
And do your thing. So, yeah, we get good feedback in terms of that, in terms of, like, that people just have fun.
Yeah.
I am humbled by the feedback from women that we know. You know, we have a tradition of, like, our DJ, because we have a DJ for an hour before the beat making starts. We try to have women all the time. I think it's been 90% women.
That's what's up.
So we've gotten good feedback from our women friends, and like they appreciate that, and that's really humbling to me because it's really hard. You know, I'm a dude. All I see, you know, I don't. It's just hard because you know I'm married too. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not out there a lot, but you know, we look as soon as we hear about somebody, and we've been lucky too because we have friends now. They know that we try to do that. Yeah. They're like, hey, there's this new DJ in town, and she wants, you know, you should check her out. Yeah. So, I think sometimes too, it's kind of, we come off as kind of, women don't know who we are, and we're just like, oh, you DJ? Yeah. You know, and we're just like, oh, I don't know if I came off as kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Right, you know, but then, they hear about us, and then we've had that happen where, like, I asked somebody, and she did not know who I was, right. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that was too weird, and then she heard about us, and then she came back. So.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and we try to encourage to avoid just coming kind of gravitating towards each other when they first come in. Like, we encourage people, like, you know, talk to the people around you, like, build with the folks that are in this room because they all showed up for the same reason, even if you just stumbled in there. And, like, there's been, like, little shows that have, you know, there's been enough interest with people that have connected at our shows. I think that they've even created their own shows kind of based on just meeting each other at our stuff, which is, it's just great to see that because that's what we encourage. We're like, look, all you guys are, like, in your houses quietly working on stuff, and now you're in a room together. Meet each other. Yeah. You know, like, that's part of why we do this, because they're, you know, like, community building. So it's cool to see that. But, you know, we definitely get the quiet cats who show up and stand in the back and look like they don't know what's happening, but then they come back again and they like are super supportive, whether they're an artist or not.
Yeah. Well, when you create a space like that where people do feel welcomed, I think that even folk who maybe are a little bit socially awkward or just shy, they will come back. They will continue to see where they fit in, and I bet you'll be surprised. You can be surprised at what talent they're hiding until they're ready to reveal it. So
yeah, there was a really great moment at the last one. Aldo Rain, who's a producer from Hillsboro, who came to shows early on, and then he's in Hillsboro, so it's quite a trek to get there. He played his first show ever with us,
Man, he was so nervous.
He was crazy nervous, but his mom showed up, and he like snapped out of it, and he was like confident, and it was just such a great moment because we like cleared space for her to move to the front and watch it, and it was like, this is great. Yeah. Like, it was just nice because you could see his energy changed. Everyone was supportive, even though he was nervous, everyone was like, no, you got this. Like, no one boos you at our events. Right. Like, we're here to encourage you. This is the first step of many, do that thing. So,
although I will say, if you freestyle, you better be good.
Come on now.
Because I can't handle it.
Yeah, it is funny to see people kind of like, they've always wanted to rap, and then they'll grab the mic, and they don't know how to hold the mic, and so they'll rap, but you don't hear them.
Right.
And then, or the
worst
beat
is
changes.
when they're on their phone. Mm-hmm. I can't handle the
rapping off of the phone.
Yeah, memorize your stuff at least if you're not gonna freestyle.
Right. Yeah. So it's
sorry, I'm being mean.
No. You're being. Come on, it's about training. Right? It's about training people. So
yeah, it's one thing to be inspired, but then when you're like kind of paralyzed to talk loud enough to be heard, it's like takes practice.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Once again, I mean, you guys have I think done an amazing thing with what you've created. Is it too early yet to talk about plans for year 3?
Depending on how this goes, I told him I just don't want to do a chill photo show. Just photos from like the last 3 years, have some wine, have some DJs, and just like celebrate, like just have a little party with a bunch of photos. So that's what I'm saying. So we'll see what happens, with this fest, and then, but certainly releasing music. Mm-hmm. We'll still be at Future Shock. What else, Jonas?
Yeah.
R&B album, Jonas, right? You're gonna put out an R&B album with you singing on it?
No, I definitely, but I mean, even though we're kind of joking about there are some people that have met at our events that are working on albums together. Mm-hmm. And, while we have no stake in how that gets done, it's cool to see that will have happened based on having met at our shows. So I don't know. I think that's great. And it's hard to quantify how often that might happen. I know of only just one thing that's happening right now, but but the potential is there, and that's what I'm excited for. Yeah. And I wanted to shout out to our sponsors for the event. I know we're not even talking about the event, but honestly, you have shown us support since before we even did our first show. So it's kind of you were immediately one of the first people we thought of. We were we gotta,
so X-Ray on here is basically DJ Klyph. Right?
Yeah, let's welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's welcome
X-Ray
to the
FM. And then Friends of Noise, Andre at Friends of Noise.
Yeah. Which is a great organization in town, a nonprofit that supports
young people in music programs.
Yeah, young people in music programs.
Yeah, Future Shock obviously is where we hold the show. We always want to shout out Tim for letting us do that there. And then Thirsty City has just been an inspiration and a partner on a lot of this stuff. So we're honored to have Northern Draw play at the event, but also to set up a merch table and kind of sell his wares too, because he's been doing it longer than most folks.
Yeah.
So.
And they just released vinyl, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they're gonna have a release party next on June. I'm butchering this. It's the end of June. End of June. Yeah, they just released a 10-inch. I actually have it already. It's dope. Thirsty City Records.
No doubt. Well, let me say this, man. I'm an old head, and I don't get out nearly as much to events as I would like to. I think I've made it to one a beat happening in 2 years. I'm ashamed to say.
No, that's
but in terms of
That
inspiration,
was such an honor, Don. I was like, oh man,
everybody act right.
yeah, everybody act right.
Oh, stop it. No, man, but you guys have inspired me. I'm announcing this publicly so that I have people to hold me accountable. It's been, I don't even know how many years since I released anything, but you folk have inspired me. So I'm gonna start working on my next beat tape.
Oh, that's
Whoa,
great!
what?
Yes,
That's amazing.
yes,
Dude,
yes,
let's
yes,
put out
yes,
the
yes.
tape. Let's put out the tape.
Yeah, you might want to hear it first. You might want to hear it first. But no, you guys have been such a gem for the city. And everything that you've done, man. Congratulations on 2 years, and what a way to celebrate it by creating a festival. And it's crazy because you're celebrating the achievement of a beat happening by once again providing an opportunity for others. And so I think that needs to be celebrated and recognized. But the event is going down on June the 22nd and 23rd at New Expressive Works. It's the Forward Frequency Festival. Presented by A Beat Happening, the 2-year anniversary celebration. My guys, Jonas and Sembla, Jonas and Derek. Love Jones and Derek. Love Jones and Sembla.
Yeah, it's all interchangeable.
Yeah, man. Just I'm really, really happy for you folk, man, and what you've been able to do. And really, I know you said it feels like it's a long time. Believe me, I know. When you're working on stuff, how time goes, but. It seems like you've done a lot in a very short amount of time. So congratulations, fellas.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. So hit up abeathappening.com and get those tickets. Like I said, man, even if you're going to be out of town and you know that you can't go, just buy a ticket to support the event. And let's continue to help support and create opportunities for the local Portland hip hop scene. Fellas, man, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure is all ours, man. Thank you so much.
For real, man. A Beat Happening goes down monthly at Future Shock Records, but stay linked with them all over social media, A Beat Happening, or just head over to the website at beathappening.com to stay up on what's coming up next. But in the interim, man, just a couple weeks away, you'll get to check out some amazing talent right here in the city at New Expressive Works. A Beat Happening. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thank you again.
Big shout out to a couple folk, man. Once again, thank you to X-Ray FM for continuing to support and graciously host the recording of the Klyph Notes podcast. Shout out to Acapella Apparel for their continued support. There are some things that are in the works. Really excited for you guys to see what's happening. But if you check out the website, acapella.com, that's AKEPELE.com, you'll be up to date on things that are happening there. And last but definitely not least, speaking of beat makers, big ups to my guy Theory Has It for doing the official theme song for the Klyph Notes podcast. Remember, the Klyph Notes podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. Or you can check us out at klyphnotes.com. All right, y'all. Until we have an opportunity to connect again, God bless. Peace.